Welcome back to Maximum News, ladies and gentlemen, where we like to just get right into the news. Well, most of the time we don't like to do an intro. Sometimes we do, but we got a lot of stuff that we got to get to, so let's not waste any time. Obviously, majority of the reason why the majority of you are here is to hear us talk about The Last of Us right off the top. Just finished watching episode 4 less than an hour ago. Before I give my thoughts on it, I got to do my weekly thing here. Syb, have you started watching it yet?
No, this week has been nonstop.
Okay, all right, no problem. Just figured I'd ask.
In fact, we got home less than like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, everything okay?
Yeah,
all right.
It's just been a busy week, and yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like, me too, man. I told you I'm working on a Fallout video. We talked about that like a couple days ago, and that's taken up a whole lot more time than I was expecting. Anyways, Last of Us. Great episode. Really, really damn good episode. I just keep expecting at some point the quality's got to dip, but no, the quality is still at unreasonably high. I'm being facetious when I say that, obviously, but it's really, really damn high. So in this episode, without giving any spoilers away, we do get to see the positive seeds of Joel and Ellie's future relationship planted. I loved virtually everything that happened between the two of them in this episode. I know earlier on in like when the show premiered and the first couple episodes, Syb, you remember me talking about how I wasn't fully sold on Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I am now. In fact, I'm at the point where I think that her performance is phenomenal. She's getting to that point where, like I said, with Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Joel, where it's like he's somehow very familiar but also very different. Bella is getting to that point. She's not at that point. I don't imagine she'll ever get to the point at Pedro's at, but even if she gets close, it still deserves to be described as phenomenal. Let's see, what else do I see in my notes here? I don't usually get choked up at forms of media. I don't think I've ever cried at an episode of TV, and this isn't an exception. But I will say, there is one moment in this episode that almost got me there. And it's like, really? None of the past 3 episodes did with the stuff that happens in there? No, it was this episode. And I won't say what it was. I'll just give a no context spoiler, okay? There's a point where Joel says the words, "I'm sorry." And that's all I'm going to say. It's just in that moment, it's just I won't say anything else, but it was a really, really magical moment. And if we get more moments like that throughout the rest of the series, let's just say this might be like one of the greatest TV series ever made. The episode sets up next week very well. It's no spoiler, Syb, that there are characters in this show, just as there were characters in the game named Henry and Sam. And we know, when I evoke the words Henry and Sam, what that means to people who have played the original game. I cannot wait to see what they do with those characters next week. Really solid action, really solid drama, emotional moments, all around fantastic episode. If you haven't started watching this series, guys, you're really, really missing out. It is turning into something really unique, really special. Syb, any thoughts or reactions before we continue?
No, I was thinking, like, watch it be some like innocuous like moment that you break down about, like, it was all fine until you went around the corner and then I saw that banner that said Steelers,
Steelers
gonna win the Super Bowl this year, and you just get so sad because you're like, they're never gonna win again. Yeah. They're never gonna win again.
That would, if I were a football fan, but I could easily see somebody like looking at something like that and breaking down, just like, why do you gotta mock us, oh Lord? Why, Neil? Why? No, it's a really special moment. It involves Joel.
I had a conversation with somebody once, and they're like, an apocalypse would be so cool. And I'm like, yeah, but you never get your coffee again. Like, what do you mean? Coffee doesn't grow here. You mean like coffee doesn't grow here? Like, what do you mean coffee doesn't grow here? It's like, well, you wouldn't be able to get coffee anymore if travel didn't happen. You wouldn't be able to get your coffee. or your chocolate.
Mhm.
Chocolate doesn't grow here either, and like it's just like, somebody's shocked that the world has doesn't, that not everything grows at the grocery store, right?
That's what happens when you outsource all your manufacturing and production to other countries, ladies and gentlemen. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like
So their idea of wanting an apocalypse suddenly changed very quickly when they realized that they couldn't get the Frappa Mochaccino in the morning.
no more Starbucks in every. I was gonna spoil. There's. Oh,
No, don't spoil anything.
okay, yeah. There's just something regarding coffee, but anyways, let's move on to the next subject here. So, to anybody that isn't in the loop with The Last of Us, this is probably the most obvious big story that happened in the past week. Sybe, you'll recall that at the end of last year, we did our top 10 most anticipated games. And at number 10 on my list, I put The Day Before, the game that is the most wishlisted on Steam, aside from Hogwarts Legacy, which I think Hogwarts surpassed it. But I had to clarify why it was on my list to Sybe, because as Sybe and I both know, and what a lot of other people suspect, this game is kind of a sham or a scam or a slice of ham. We haven't really seen anything come from the developers. They've been very secretive, or maybe their marketing sucks. We only saw like a gameplay trailer back in 2021 that hyped everybody up, but we didn't really see anything from them since. And there've been YouTube videos going around everywhere, sort of suggesting that, hey, maybe it isn't real. All that said, I still put it on my list because I was just hella curious to see how things would turn out when and if the game actually released. Not because I necessarily wanted to play it. I mean, if it is accurate in everything that it's promising, then hell yeah, I want to play it. But yeah, I don't really think so. But anyways, we got gameplay 2 or 3 days ago. And I think it's safe to say, Sybe, that they put this out because there was mounting pressure from the gaming public to see whether or not this game is a scam. And, well, why don't you elaborate on how people reacted and like what was in the gameplay?
Yeah, we were going to actually do a full on coverage of this. Just live restream it, talk about it live, kind of go through it and touch on it. And then I was going to give my 2 cents on where I was at with looking at the game and thinking about it. And at this point, I'm still not 100%. And here's my general thought on it. So a lot of people are saying that they can't make a game this complex in this short amount of time. They only filed this trademark stuff and did all this stuff like last year, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, that's partially true, but in the world of Unreal 5, you really do have the opportunity to just basically publish a base package that is actually a game. And when I say base package, I literally mean that to some people, putting together a simplified shooter takes only minutes in the new Unreal game, and they have just an enormous amount of physics and engine and stuff pre-built in. So if you have a bunch of models that you've bought from a model designer, and you have a bunch of weapon skins that you've bought from a weapon skin designer, and then some vehicles and some other stuff, you buy all the packages, you turn on all the functions, and you just you generate a bunch of maps, use AI to cut back on a bunch of other work. You literally can make a game in we're talking weeks.
He's not exaggerating, guys. There's a reason why game developers everywhere are switching to Unreal. Like off the top of my head, there's CD Projekt Red. That's they're doing that for the next Witcher game, and we're also going to be talking about another developer that's switching to it in a second. It's everything that Sybe is saying is true.
Yeah, so it's it's very quick to have products go crazy fast and move at a ridiculously fast rate. Now, what is it with this game? What's going on with this game? Well, the number one thing I would say is that they have really bad communication skills. Like, not just like
Yeah.
bad communication skills, but like really bad communication skills.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have somebody in that role of heading up their PR, of heading up their public side of the company, that is able to explain things clearly, concisely, and keep hype levels in that green zone where it's helping to drive your product, but you're not redlining it and you're not stalling out. Like you really have to do that. That is a full-time job at any major like release. And games that don't have that and they release, they do have this big release, it's by sheer luck that they manage to like fly through that flack. And Among Us is a great example of that, where they didn't really have anybody who was really on it, doing interviews, doing videos, talking to the community about what was going on. A lot of that was missing. A lot of that was just this like vague, stuff going on, not really, knowing what's going on, and yeah, the dogs are very upset about this as well.
Yeah.
Because they look at this stuff and they go, "Where's our fun game? We want to sit on the couch and watch you play a fun game." So yeah, that's I think is the primary thing here, is that these guys are, I don't think very many of them are high-end business people, and that's actually a plus in my book, because I don't want a company run by a bunch of sales and marketing people. I think that's terrible. I don't think you get good products. But it has definitely left them open for counterattack, and definitely open in the not being able to fill or commit a proper, clear, direct voice.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you get this, which is everything's all over the place. Like, it's literally all over the place with this game. We don't know what's going on. There's very little clear, concise stuff. There's accusations that all this stuff is staged. It's all pre-rendered. There's nobody actually, behind the controls. And then they do these weird things where they film the person playing the game at a weird angle. And then that just causes more people to freak out and become hyper conspiratorial, going, "Wait a second, why would you show that? That's not a normal thing you'd show, therefore it must be a conspiracy."
Well,
and
you see where they're coming from, though.
I see where just generally it's coming from. And they're not helping themselves by doing this. They're really not. They're if you have these kind of issues, it's like the Earth 2 thing. It's like, if you really wanted to prove these people wrong, invite somebody who's not, your biggest hater, but somebody who's like, your second or third biggest hater. Invite them over to like show them what you have. And you literally just show them what you have, and you just be clear, like, "Hey, like, we're a really long ways away from getting this finished. This is our intended goals. Here's the tools that we're using." You have to be smart, of course, because you don't want to give away too much or overpromise. And like I said, it's this weird thing where it's like you got to press the gas to the point where you're not, redlining the engine, and you're not stalling the engine out.
Right.
It's like, and that is a very difficult thing. And the more scrutiny you have, the smaller that golden spot is. And it gets sometimes, and in this case, I think it's just gotten to the point where they can't handle it.
Right.
If they're honest people. If they're not honest people, and this is a literal scam, which I'm not discounting either. Right now, I'm at the point where I'm like, I have no idea what in the world is going on here, because nobody should be making these kinds of mistakes. Yeah. if you want my 2 cents on how I feel exactly where it is, I feel that the game is pretty much an asset flip, in the sense that a vast majority of the tech of the things that they've done are basically stuff that they bought off of the proverbial store.
Yeah.
That they have been making locations and doing stuff, and the world will have some interesting stuff, but it won't be super hand curated. It'll just be this like moderate interesting locations. I think that they have not done as much, super finite coding. A lot of the stuff that they've been promising is probably not implemented yet because they're probably too behind on it. That's why they can't show it. Like, I'll be very surprised if they have base building right away.
Yeah, if at all.
We already know that they don't have the weapon modding at the level that they said that they would have. They've showed some stuff on that before, and then what we got in the live show wasn't what they showed. It was much worse. But I don't think that they're open scammers that don't actually have a working project at all, and that everything is just a made up thing, and they're just sitting in an office kind of laughing it off, creating the next, creating these videos, because, like, again, the tech for what they showed, it's like what they showed on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or whatever it was, is basically what you can put together in the base Unreal 5 engine.
Yeah.
If you buy all of the trimmings and turn it on, and you spend a couple of months throwing everything and the kitchen sink into the blender, and pumping out just a thing that's basically like the Division. I think that that's well in the power of what the new engine can do. I think that's well in the power of what a small team can actually accomplish. I don't think it's nearly as deep as what they're saying, but games don't necessarily, especially shooters, they don't have to be massively deep. They don't have to include or create or have a massively new, super polished concept in order for them to be good. They just have to be interesting and have fun gameplay,
and as it looks right now with the 10-minute stuff that they showed us, does that actually look like something you'd want to play though? Because
at the moment it depends on, for me, that game depends immediately on character creation and on character customization. I would play that game if the character creation and customization was good. I think the complaint about the character, some people were complaining that the character's clothing and armor or outfit didn't look, as polished as nice as it could have. But again, if they're using like a lot of assets, a lot of general assets, what you would do normally from, like, again, if I'm setting this up, I would set up your entry level gear to actually not look that great, and then have the better looking gear as like the top gear that you unlock or get or scavenge or craft from like the much higher tiers, and that's where you get the good looking stuff, right? And so if this is an early portion of the early game, then of course their armor wouldn't look that great. The gun wouldn't be that awesome. It would just, and because you want that stuff to come down the path later. But it looks like it does. I don't think this is like this is not an $80 game. This is, I believe, this is like basically an asset flip. This is like, Wildlife looks better than this. Like, Wildlife looks way better than this. Wildlife, I would say, for what they're offering with that game, probably has 1,000 times more custom created content in it than this game does right now. And again, I don't think it's worth $80. I think it's worth. I think what they should be doing with this is they should probably be selling this for like $25 tops.
Yeah.
And I think what they should do is make a promise going, hey guys, we're never gonna do microtransactions. What we're going to focus on is large DLC packs.
Yeah.
And a large DLC pack will, depending on how the community feels about it, they'll either be, 2 or 3 times a year, or more, if we really take off. If we really take off and this game starts to really push the numbers up and we can hire a lot more people, then we're going to be offering you more content, more free content, and the DLC packs will be, basically like, but we're going to try and keep those as a quarterly thing at absolute most,
Right.
right?
But in order to ensure that,
Yeah.
what they need to do first
But
is
communicate.
hire some sort of PR representative, even if, like,
Yeah.
worst
They
case
need-
scenario,
they
the
need
game.
somebody
Yeah.
to communicate for them, because they're just not doing it good. Like, oh my goodness, they're not communicating well at all.
Even if what you're selling to us is a lie, it would benefit you to hire somebody who can do a better job at selling the lie. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but you know what I'm getting at. That's the only thing that I think we can say definitively about this game, is that the public relations side of things isn't particularly good. I'm inclined to side with you, Saib. I do think the game is real. It's just, to what extent is the game going to live up to the game that we've all had in our heads up until this point? I don't think it's going to get anywhere near that. If, you give them a year or two to flesh things out, could it get to a state where it's playable and somewhat enjoyable at $25?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Here's what I want from this game. Here's what I would love with this game. If everything we saw, even as, not hyper polished as it is, if they could just give me that game that we saw, and it works like that, and that's just their, it's sort of like an early beta-ish kind of thing. I would still pay them like $25 if I could have a private server that I could set up in and have the world be a living thing, and then just have other people join the server. So like have our community pop in, and we could just pop in, play, build up a fort, go out, kill zombies, come back, build up the fort even bigger. Like a persistent world that we can set up a private server on and just have that going. If that was a thing, I would love that, because
Sure.
that's what I've been begging for Fallout and a bunch of other games. Is I want a persistent world in which we can set up for for a community, for our own community, and I can just go in there and spawn events, do cool things. I would love this in Baldur's Gate, D&D, anything like sci-fi stuff, like whatever. I would love the ability to create a cool world for people to come in, jump in, play in, can mess around with stuff, can go kill zombies. Like, that sounds to me like a great idea. Something that I would very much enjoy. But I still don't understand what this game is. Is this always online? Is this an MMO? Is
it like The Division?
Random people? Is it a thing where I boot up the game and invite friends into it? What? I still don't understand what exactly this is, and there's too much conflicting information about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting a clear picture. I know what they're saying, sort of.
But is it true? To what extent is it true?
To what extent is that actually there? And that again, it really boils down to a communication problem. So they have a huge communication problem, and I like, that's where we can leave this one, because it's definitely like, stay tuned to this, because this is going to be a hot tomato.
Yeah.
All year we're going to see the most hilarious garbage coming out of this. I hope these guys, if this is an honest game and they're just really bad at PR, and they've just been they have a bunch of people that they've been listening to, that where they're like, oh, okay, man, here's what you gotta do. You gotta do this. You gotta make this like weird filming thing, film it at this side, and then you gotta try and launch that. And they're just not, that it's just poor communication. I really hope that they don't get burnt out.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I like, if it's just you're bad at communication, but you're actually like, this is a very small team making this game, and it actually turns out that the game's pretty cool. And if it's not something that they're charging $80 for, until it really gets up to that level of quality. We'll see. This is definitely like, it's piqued my interest more in the sense of like watching it to see what kind of chaos happens. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard our opinions. Question is for you. Do you believe that this thing is actually going to turn out to be real? Do you think that the game is actually going to release in November, like they're saying now, once they get the whole trademark issue sorted out? Let us know by putting your thoughts down in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic here. Just from one great story into the next. One of my, aside from Metal Gear Solid, which is my all-time favorite gaming franchise, I think it's safe to say my second favorite gaming franchise is Halo. And as I'm sure anybody who's in the gaming sphere and well-read as far as gaming news goes, you could probably understand where my enthusiasm is for the Halo franchise right now. It's about the same as where everybody else is. We're sort of in limbo. We don't know what the heck is going on. People have, just generally speaking, been too disappointed consistently with the effort that 343 Industries has been putting forward. So much so that it looks like Microsoft is handing down an executive direction for them to make some serious changes regarding the approach to the Halo franchise moving forward. So, according to Windows Central, speaking of Unreal Engine, it's looking like 343 moving forward is going to be dropping their in-house engine and moving over to Unreal Engine 5. This is because their current engine, Slipspace, has caused a lot of issues for developers. There have been a lot of bugs trying to, get the past Halo games, and I imagine Infinite. What?
Such a deja vu.
What do you mean?
How many times have we heard, you know what, we were making this specialized engine for this game, and we realized that it's really hard to make an engine because turns out half of the stuff that we made the original engine for don't actually work in the game that we're trying to make it for now.
Yeah, what was it like? Yeah, we mentioned the Red engine. It caused a lot of Cyberpunk 2077's issues. I think it was what was the engine they used to make Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda? Like whatever engine that was. It wasn't CryEngine, was it? No, no. But
yeah, it's EA's special engine thing that turns out is just hot garbage.
Yeah, they try to apply it to everything, even though they really shouldn't. It seems like it's the exact same thing for Slipspace, and so they're adopting Unreal Engine 5. I'll give my thoughts on that, but let's just go through the entire report here. Apparently, 343 is hard at work on putting out their next Halo-related project. It's operating under the codename Project Tanaka. Now, if any of you have been following Halo news over the last little while, you might recognize the name Tanaka because we heard that was the codename being given to a Battle Royale mode for Halo. So, is the next Halo release going to be some sort of Halo Battle Royale? We'll discuss that more in a second. And then finally, other major thing that I wanted to just present is that according to this report, campaign-related content of any sort for Halo has been put on pause, and the focus is just going to be on improving the multiplayer from this point forward. So, yeah, it's been rough to work for 343 for a long time, but it's been especially rough the last little while. There were the cuts at Microsoft, a lot of which hit 343. They had Joseph Staten leave as their creative director, which, I attribute a lot of what the good stuff that was in Halo Infinite to his vision, especially because he worked on the original Halo games and was part of what made those games so great, in my opinion. I love Unreal Engine. I think that more games should adopt it. I can't wait to see what Witcher looks like when they use it. I don't know how they're going to manage to make Halo look using that engine. We'll see, I suppose. I wonder if they'll be able to maintain an art style that people will like, not like what they did with Halo 4 and Halo 5. Battle Royale, though, I don't really know how that would work. Maybe you would just need to reintroduce a health system and get rid of the shields. and then maybe it would work that way. Like they kind of have a a battle royale mode. I think it's called Extinction in Halo Infinite right now that works kind of well, but it's not really battle royale. But a full on battle royale, I guess. But is that really like the thing that hardcore Halo fans really want? Because when I think about Halo at its peak and what I see people talk about wanting from Halo that are longtime fans is just consistently great multiplayer and like the arcade element of gunplay and the great custom games that we got in Halo 3 and Halo Reach. That's what people want, not so much Battle Royale. But I don't know. Maybe they'll find some way to make it good, but given 343's track record, I'm not really sure. And I suppose multiplayer, just focusing on that for now, is probably just the most cost-effective way to approach the Halo franchise moving forward. Otherwise, it's just going to keep losing money. It's a sad state of affairs. I hope that we'll be able to get some more positive news. Hopefully, Halo Infinite will start to pick up a little bit more popularity now that Forge is out, and maybe it'll get to the state that it should be at and be a proper challenger to COD like it once was. But yeah, Saib, what do you think about all these developments? Are you at all more positive or any more negative than I am?
With the idea that this is going to be a battle royale, I'll say that I'm pretty sure they're a day late and $1 short.
Yeah. There's just too many of them.
I think that if you're a giant corporation and you're chasing a genre of game that is, the big flavor of the month, but it's not the flavor of the month, it's like the flavor of the decade, and you're showing up to the like tail end of the decade of that, it's like all the people who, gosh, how long was League out for?
Like over,
it was League and Dota 2 were out for years.
Yeah.
Years. And then Activision and EA decided that they were going to make a MOBA as well. It's like, and they announced that like at the, when you knew the numbers of people playing MOBAs was starting to like dip, and it had its dedicated audience, but it was definitely not like gaining huge amounts, and there were other like early cusps of stuff like kind of coming out for I think it was the whole Among Us craze was starting up when Blizzard was like, yeah, we're gonna make a MOBA, this is gonna be great, look at this MOBA here. And it's like, oh man, you're not just late, you're coming in at the very end of this thing. And then of course it never goes anywhere. EA's one didn't even get off the ground. Like they had a beta for it, like 5,000 people showed up, they all complained, and they're just like, all right, well, dump it, I guess we're not really good at this, and then it's just, this is just the nature of gaming, that you got to be on top of it. You got to be looking for the next big thing. You can't be trying to play catch up almost a decade later after a genre is the popular genre of the year of the decade comes out, and you're showing up in year 8 going, yeah, let's do something like that. It's like, no, not gonna work.
You know what? You can tell me your thoughts on this. One thing that I thought would always be a wonderful evolution of the Halo formula is to go beyond the sort of 16v16, no, 8v8, 12 or 12v12, I think it is now in Halo Infinite gameplay, to something like Star Wars Battlefront, but with the Halo aesthetic. Can you imagine like big ass battlefields, being able to fly Pelicans and operate Scarabs, the amount of carnage, like joyous carnage that you can have in a game like that? I think even if it's, just sort of like a spin-off where you just have instant action type gameplay like you did in the original Battlefront 1 and 2, I would love that much more than I would want a battle royale. But I don't know, maybe that would just take too much effort. No.
I have a better pitch for them.
Go on.
And the pitch goes like this. You start up, by having the Covenant the humans, throw in one or two of the other factions, all discover a new Halo, and
right,
and they launch people out to it, and you all pick a faction, and y'all land, and y'all start like exploring it. It's absolutely massive, like just enormously massive. And you direct the NPCs to start setting up bases and scouts, and then they start pushing out, and you can scout anywhere around that you want, and you might you might go and like do scouting runs, skirmishes, stuff like that. But eventually, like, the full forces of the armies arrive, and they start fighting like full on, trying to get this thing, and they manage to kind of push out, and it's like that's when you get these full battles. At all times, there's the threat of the possible flood appearing and going nuts, in which case then all of the forces would have to like turn and fight the flood. And at the center there's like this time dilation thing, and whenever somebody like pulls the trigger to the Halo device, it doesn't destroy all sentient life in the universe. It just resets the world back to the start when the Halo ring was just discovered. And your goal as a faction is to take over the entire ring and control everything, push all the other factions out, contain the flood, and then like set up, and that's how you win. But it's almost impossible to, because this is being played by tens of thousands of people every single hour, and they're all battling in this humongous ring that's like 5 times the size of Earth. And you're trying to just battle it out and duke it out, and every time it resets, there's more stuff that's added. There's more vehicles added, there's more secrets unlocked, and you just start that process, and you just reset it. So it's like a battle royale that takes place over like 6 months, or until whenever somebody hits the reset. And you can keep seeing this happen over and over and over again. And every time it happens, the players start formulating new ideas and new ways to kind of like come up with stuff. That would be an awesome
that actually sounds really freaking cool, dude. The only thing I think that I would add on top of that I think would make it a little bit cooler is if you could actually fly into space to parts of this giant persistent world of the Halo ring.
Yeah. You can literally get on a you can get on a ship and fly to anywhere you want in the ring, but the other bases do have their defenses, so it's not like you can just fly in and assassinate
mess
the commander.
Them up. Yeah, they might try to snipe you from orbit.
There's tons of anti-air bases, and they've got their fleets, like, right, like they don't have like massive fleets, but they have like a couple of ships that are sitting there, and you just trying to get onto the ship as one of like as somebody who's on that faction is hard enough, let alone like trying to like you're just not going to be able to just invade it, at least not right away. And you're going to have to make plans, and then there's guilds and groups that'll form that'll be like, hey, we're going to hold this, and then we're going to try and take over this moderate ship and launch an invasion to try and take out this other thing. And like, just like, that's a world that I think people would really like. And that if they want to burn a whole bunch of R&D into figuring out how to make that world work, that's probably far more stable and far more interesting than whatever this idea that they have of like doing a new battle royale. I again, that's if that's what they're trying to do.
Phil Spencer, we know you listen to this podcast. Hire Cybon to be your creative director for the next Halo project. Hell, I don't care if it takes 10 years. I would play the crap out of what Cyb just recommended here. All right. We're 40 minutes in. Let's speed through these next few topics.
Yeah.
This one we sort of just added in at the last second. You go, Cyb. You're more into BioWare stuff.
So we've got Dragon Age 4 stuff. It's not looking good still. We're not getting this game this year. We're probably not even going to get this game next year because of the amount of times it has been reset. If it does wait until 2024 or 2025, that is a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think, a decade. Didn't I, like the video I sent you, I think they said that it's been in development since 2015 or 2016.
Yeah, 2015.
Oh my
when it's been in development for. Now, it has been reset twice. So they originally had this brilliant design for it. Absolutely brilliant. It was all about completing missions with unique characters, really recruiting whoever you wanted. You could complete a mission by hiring a bunch of courtesans, aka like harlots, and doing everything through conversation and plot and intrigue and stealing into this location and getting everything you want that way. You could also just show up with a bunch of warriors and just try and like bash down the gates. You could also do that. It was very interesting, very good concept. I really liked it. Saw a fair amount of that concept and really did like where they were going with that. That was all scrapped because some absolute moron at EA decided, no, we want everything multiplayer. Everything multiplayer, everything live service. We don't want no single player story. We want to make people spend money every single day. We want a team where there's like, regular, green, rare, epic, and then legendary characters, and then those legendary characters are the only ones who are able to actually complete certain content, and those legendary characters, you got to pull for those characters, and yeah, that was the game that EA won. And then EA was humiliated. Respawn did a bunch of stuff that actually proved that they actually knew what they were doing, and that humiliated the leadership at EA. And so EA finally called them up and said, okay, BioWare, you can do whatever you want. Okay, you don't have to make it multiplayer. So then everything was scrapped again, which thank God, because who wants to play a giant piece of garbage like that? And then that reset everything. And so now we're back to they're trying something different now. And now they're trying to go more actiony, arcadey kind of combat. Like Dragon Age 2, because that was such a huge hit. Everybody loved that game. Some art leaked about this. I would not trust this art with a 10-foot pole. It is significantly... We don't even know which build this is from. We have no idea if this is their early current build, the previous build, or the previous build. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea what this screenshot stuff is got, and it's not it's really just not very good to look at. Seems like most of the floor textures aren't there and stuff like that. So is that what they're working on? I don't know. And I like at this point, don't look at that kind of stuff, because again, we're at least a year away, if not more, from seeing this game. So
yeah,
I kind of doubt that this is going to go anywhere. Yeah, and then in other EA news, Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been delayed. Will now arrive on April 28th.
That's fine.
Originally, it was going to come out a little bit earlier, but it has now been pushed back a little bit. It's not a huge pushback.
6 weeks.
Like, yeah. It's not like it's getting pushed back like 6 months or longer. And that's fine. That's fine. I think this is okay.
I have faith that the game's going to be good. Like Jedi Fallen Order, the chunk of it that I played was really damn good. And it seems like everything that they're doing with this seems to be the natural evolution of that formula. I trust Respawn, even though I think Apex Legends it gives me a heart attack every time I play that game. Yeah, but that's fine. Maybe with the extra time, I can finally finish Jedi Fallen Order, because I looked at this wonderful website. In case you guys haven't heard about it, it's called howlongtobeat.com. If you have a backlog of games and you don't know how long each of them are going to take, just type in the name of the game and it'll tell you. And from what I understand, Jedi Fallen Order is only like 20 to 25 hours long to beat. I could do that. I could find time in my schedule to beat it between now and then. Although Hogwarts is going to make that a little bit more difficult. But we'll get to that in a second. Just one other thing before we get to the inevitable discussion of Hogwarts. What about the Grammys is trying to stay relevant?
Yeah, so the Grammys is on tonight. I don't know how many of you were interested in watching that.
I didn't even know. I had no idea until I listened to the radio when I was in the car.
That's the joke. Nobody knew this was going on. And I got to call this out. I have to call this out. There's this big thing trending about the Grammys right now. And I mean, staged and sheeple are the two things off the top of my head. I look at the oh my God, Grammys is relevant again trending on Twitter. And I'm like, sure. Let me go see what this video everybody's cracking up about. And it's like, oh, look, they conveniently placed a bunch of very famous, good-looking people to start casually dancing, I'm doing the air quotes thing, to this song. Oh, yeah, that wasn't pre-planned at all. They didn't have a meeting ahead of time going, okay, guys, this song is going to come out. It's the greatest song ever recorded, ever. This is gonna fix all of the problems. This is gonna make Hollywood and the music industry relevant again. You have to get up and you have to dance to this song because that's what's going on. And then everybody's gonna get on Twitter and go, "Oh my goodness, the Grammys is super awesome." Yeah. Because and the Grammys, they're doing something. You know what they're really gonna do this year? They put video games into their own category for music because they play video games too. Taylor Swift, she plays video games. She's one of you. And we know that there's going to be some awesome music coming out for video games in the future. And you've got to listen to this because it's just so cool. And you just need to tune in. It's like, again, it's that whole, like, you know, somebody arriving at the playground who clearly is not a child, who is dressed like a child, and goes, "Hello, fellow students. I am one of you."
Yeah.
It's just it just reeks of like desperation and the enormous amount of people who are like, "Oh my goodness, I love this, 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 I love this." And it's like, yeah.
I'm looking at the 2023 winners, and apparently it's going on right now, or it just finished. I'm looking at the winners, and apparently the one category that they had for video games, best score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media, the nominees were Aliens Fireteam Elite, Call of Duty. Oh my God. Really? Call of Duty Vanguard, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Old World, and Aliens Fireteam Elite wins. Are there seriously people playing that game? Like that?
Yep.
Yeah. Like this is, you know what this reminds me of? Remember, like, I think it was about a year or two ago when the Oscars tried to introduce the best popular film category just to up their viewership. Okay, yeah. Anyways, it's the Grammys. I haven't cared about the Grammys since the one time everybody got pissed off for Arcade Fire winning. Do you remember that one year, Syb? Winning Album of the Year over like 4 other like really mainstream popular artists, and the Arcade Fire one, and then a whole bunch of the sheeple, as you call them, said like, "Who the hell is Arcade Fire?" news report. It's the greatest export from the province of Quebec. One of the only good things that province exports. Sorry, I'm just joking. The Quebec is fine. All right. And finally,
I need to keep my mouth shut on that.
Right. Okay.
Hogwarts. Yes. So Hogwarts prep. Hogwarts has leaked, ladies and gentlemen. It leaked a couple days ago. Apparently, some of the deliveries for the physical copies got out early.
Yeah.
So we are not going to cover spoilers. We are going to start streaming and doing playthroughs and doing videos for you guys, including, yes, I can announce this, we are filming live skits tomorrow.
Ooh.
So we are going to have some live comedy skits coming out about this game. So be hyped for this. It's going to be hilarious. We've got some cool ideas. It's going to be great. I think you're going to find them quite lovely. And yeah, we're going to be playing the crap out of this game. It's the only thing that I will spoil is that the game plays extraordinarily smooth. There are, I believe, at or over 20 different spells that you can free use in the game in various combos, various ways. And the world is absolutely gorgeous. And again, no major bugs reported at all, which is really cool. Again, don't quote me on that. Obviously, these are day one deliveries. People have not played all the way through the game yet. But by the time you listen to this podcast, there will be people who have most certainly already beat the game and maybe posting spoilers. So yeah, careful about spoilers. We really try to avoid spoilers here. We respect your time. We respect your passion. We do make guides though, but we don't try and clickbait you too much with those titles like, oh my goodness, Snape had time traveled and is now in this game, and he's now recruiting an army for space lizards. Sorry about the clink.
Okay.
Clankers, join the clankers. So we're gonna try and avoid that stuff. Obviously, we don't want to do that. We don't want to spoil anything, but we will be covering the game. Please check us out. Ask us to tweet at us with stuff you'd like us to do, to cover, to showcase stuff. We're all playing through different houses. So with the four of us, we're all going to be playing through all of the different houses. Those will all, of course, we won't be like pushing that all in the first week, but we should have most of that stuff kind of nailed down, and we'll definitely have reviews. 100% we'll be able to review various stages of the game starting as soon as next week.
Yeah.
For sure. And we're going to have on Thursday, we're going to have a live show, of course, on the main channel talking about our immediate reactions to the game, because we'll have been playing it on Tuesday and Wednesday already at that point. So yeah. And yes, we are, like I said, we are working on some live comedy skits related to this game. So I am so excited. I can't wait. And yes, we are going to film those tomorrow. So if everything goes smoothly, and we, remember to take the lens off the camera, we remember to get all the stuff ready. Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna be great. I'm so excited. I can't wait for everybody to see this. We really do think that this game is going to be quite solid. Not that we are jumping the gun on this, but the game is out. People have it. I've chatted with some people who have gotten it. They haven't spoiled anything. They just said, yeah, we got it, installed it on our, we haven't even, we've disconnected our machines from the internet. We're playing through it, and it is really good. So very smooth, very good. I love to hear that. I think that's great. I'm sure there'll be some bugs in it somewhere.
Yeah, obviously, if you guys, going back to my top 10 list that I talked about that we did at the end of last year, aside from Alan Wake 2 and Starfield, Hogwarts Legacy is my most anticipated game. Everything that you're saying, Syb, makes me even more excited. Hopefully I'll be able to set aside some time. I think I'm just going to have to. Thankfully I have this coming Friday pretty open, so maybe I can dedicate 2 or 3 hours to playing through it so I can give some initial impressions when we record next Sunday. Very excited. I'm a little bit pissed off that when I did my pre-sorting, which you can do by going to the main Hogwarts Legacy website, that I got Hufflepuff. That's bullshit. Excuse my language. I mean, nothing. No animosity towards Hufflepuff or any of the houses. I'm just saying that's not me, man. I am Ravenclaw, and I intend to assert my will in that regard, just as Harry did when the Sorting Hat tried to put him in Slytherin and put him in Gryffindor. I will be a Ravenclaw, and I will be commenting on that playthrough. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this episode of Maximum News. Thank you so much for joining us. Got through a whole lot of stories today. If you have any thoughts or constructive criticisms to offer on any of the stories and the way that we talked about them today, please let us know in the description box below. I want to thank Syb, as always, for providing his wonderful in-depth insight into all the stories that we talk about. Syb, do you want to tell people about where they can find all those wonderful skits and live commentary on Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah, we're also going to be live streaming it this week, so check us out, obviously, on the main channel, the Triple S League, and then that's where the skits are going to be going as well. We're going to be doing them into short style, and so yeah, I'm very excited.
Oh, I can't wait to see them. And you guys can just find me on my main my main channel, just at Max Derrat. I got a video on Fallout New Vegas coming out this Wednesday. I will put a link to my channel and the Triple S League channel in the description box. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, when we have played Hogwarts Legacy, I want to remind you, as always, and as per usual, stay yellow.